Hello, I'm Ed Krumpe. I'm a retired professor from the College of Natural Resources. I came to the University of Idaho in 1979 to teach the wilderness management course. And that first season I was here, because I'd been a park superintendent and had been a carpenter before that, I was tasked with going in and looking at this facility. They called it Taylor Ranch, which had 64 acres that had been homesteaded by Jess Taylor, who was a famous outfitter. And then later it became a site for research for Morris Honacher's, the first in the world to radio collar cougars. And so for 27 years there were cougars radio collared in there. But they flew me in, and of course, I mean, Taylor Ranch is what everyone called it. And I was expecting a ranch, and it's not. It's 64 acres on Big Creek, a beautiful creek. It's the primary tributary to the Middle Fork, 7 miles up from the Middle Fork of the Salmon. And there were several log cabins, some historic. There were a couple newer structures. Things weren't in very good repair, and there were seasonal interns that would work on science projects in there. But the outfitter, they retained an outfitter that actually took care, and was a caretaker of the place in exchange for hunting privileges, and then the students would come and go. But it was in rough condition. And so, I mean, when I first saw it, I've got to tell you, my first surprise was this isn't a ranch. It's in a steep canyon river valley. But there's something special about that piece of landscape. I guess I call it a sense of place. When you step out of the plane, or even if you hike in and cross the bridge, and you look around, there's just, it's like there's everything you'd need to survive there. You have a view to the north of the grass-covered benches. There's three levels of benches where the elk and bighorn sheep and deer come in the winter. When there's snow everywhere else, they can still browse there. We've counted up to 64 at a time of elk, bighorn, and deer on those slopes. The stream is a primary tributary. There's salmon that run up it. There's lots of cutthroat and bull trout. And then there are two small streams. A very small stream, Pioneer Creek, comes right through the complex where some of the cabins are. And at the west end of the property is Rush Creek, and that crosses our property. And that's a fair-sized stream. And there's a lot of anadromous fish go up it. And so you have this combination of open spaces, forest to the south, because that's north-facing, and then two streams plus the major creek, and it's wide open. You get the sun in the summer. It's just a special place, and you look at it, and before long you start hiking around, and pretty soon you find signs that someone else has been here. Like you go downstream less than a mile, and there's these depressions in the ground, which people used to speculate, was that where trees fell over and that was a root ball, or was that miners scratching holes or something? Well, it was pit houses. We called them sheep eater Indians, but they were prior to that. Ancient houses that finally was excavated. So one of the archaeologists from the University of Idaho, Dr. Frank Leonhardt, he came in, had a grant from the National Geographic Society, and started to dig those. And those were dug into the ground, and then there would be dark colored circular holes along each side where they made like Quonset huts, and covered that with bark and brush and stuff. And there'd be a fire pit in one end always. And these are, the excavation for the archaeologists was quite deep. But being sunken in like that, they could survive that super hot summer, but they could also survive in the winter because they had some of the temperature from the ground to help protect them. And then there's bones and things excavated in the fire pits. But you look around, I mean, and closer to the Taylor Ranch, there's some nice flat spots by the stream to camp on. And you just kind of look around, and there's everything you need. There's some shade, there's some open, There's the water. There's places to graze if you had stock or horses. It's just a special place, and people just. I've noticed for years, because I've been going in since 1979, that people come and they walk around and they're quiet. They just look around and they say, "Holy cow! This is a huge valley." I mean, that's the benches across the stream rise almost 2,000 feet. So there's just something special. Old Dave Lewis that homesteaded it picked a great spot, and then after that, Jess Taylor had a great spot, and Morris Hohenacher saw the value of it, and we're just blessed that the university at the time was willing to put up about $100,000 to eventually buy it, which was a steal. So yeah, that's my first impressions, but I still feel that it's a special place. You have a sense of place, and many others have mentioned the same thing.